Checking them ones and twos and ones and twos. Where are my people today? Where are my people's people? Where are my people's peoples? 1 2 1 2. Giving that just a couple more minutes before we get started. 1 2 1 2. 1 2 3 4. Oh, hey, the microphone works better if you turn it on. Hello, hello. Hello, everybody. How was your Saturday? Hope we get a nice crowd in here. I don't want to talk to myself for an hour, but I also don't want to leave my notifications on my phone, so let me go get that fixed up here quick here, because that's going to be distracting through the whole thing. And, I mean, we are the pinnacle of professionalism here. We absolutely are, so we've got to feign some sort of professionalism here. Let me get that down. The app I was running in the background back up. And we are back at the pinnacle of perception. The pinnacle of professionalism here over at Ed's World. My name is Jay Edgar. This is Ed Talk. If you are new here, I am going to spend the next hour talking about Amy Coney Barrett, talking about the dueling town halls, talking about why I'm not voting. But we can skip all of that if you guys want, and just do nothing but talk straight what you guys want to talk about here. This is your time. This is my time to get back. This is the exchange for the fact that I don't always read the live chat over on Contemporary. So this is your time, and I hope we get some. I hope we get a little bit of a back and forth going here. Let me get rid of the intro music because that's probably a bit distracting here, and we're ding copyright at some point here. I know David Wise is going to be watching and saying, "Hey, what the fuck?" here at some point. So we'll get that taken care of, but let's get that out of here. Let's get the live chat up here, and let's have a little bit of a talk. Doesn't look like I've got any chat messages in here yet. I hope we get some in. Message for those of you watching over on Facebook. If you are on Facebook, what are you doing with your life? First off, Zuckerberg hates you, and he's made no secret about the fact that he hates you. But additionally, if you are over on Facebook, get into one of the links that is above you, because that will bring you into the chat, and that'll let you come on in and hang out with us and let me answer your questions. I cannot see your questions from Facebook, from where I'm sitting right now. So, and I want to answer your questions. That's what I'm here for, is to answer your questions. Also, if you are watching over on Periscope, go ahead and grab the YouTube link out of my description. Reason for that being, there's going to be a chat going on in the live chat here for you guys. Everyone's going to be able to see your comments, but you're not going to be able to see what they say back to you. So head on over into the YouTube link. That'll get you into a part of the conversation. There is a robot in the chat on all three of the big platforms, YouTube, DLive, and Twitch, that will let you guys communicate with each other and transmit your messages in between platforms. But it doesn't work with Periscope for whatever reason, and it definitely doesn't work with Facebook. So, all right, we've got the house cleaning up out of the way here. We still don't have any chat messages here. It's showing 0 watchers, which is really weird because my tablet's sitting over here playing this while I'm sitting here, so I don't know what's going on with that. If I'm just that YouTube suppressed or if DLive is suppressing me, but hopefully we'll get some people in here. I know it's a Saturday, we're getting to fall, we're getting a family time coming up here, and we are getting to a contentious point of the election. Next thing I want to point out as we're going along here and talking about this, some of you guys may have noticed my hair is getting longer, and usually I will keep that cut to a very respectable length as we go along. I used to go every 34 days to go and get my hair cut. I am officially making it official, and I will make this official on my Twitter as well. I am growing my hair for Locks of Love. If you guys have never heard of Locks of Love and you can't grow your hair, you can always look them up. I will get a link for that so people can donate money to them to get what they're doing. But what they do over there is they take hair, that people grow on their own. They make it into wigs for people who have cancer. I did this the last time I had long hair, and the whole lockdown thing has kind of made me a little bit more amiable to having long hair again. I mean, I'm not going out anywhere, I'm not doing anything, and it's such a pain in the ass to wear the mask and get your hair cut sitting in the chair while somebody else in a mask is sitting there muffling words back to you. So I decided, the hell with it. Now is the time to grow it back again. I need to get at least 10 inches that I can remove in order to donate that, but I am growing my hair for Locks of Love. So hopefully that'll turn out right. I'm getting into that awkward stage where people are going to start looking at it and say, wow, your hair is out of control. It's wild. Go ahead and do something about it. Go get it cut. That is the reason my hair is growing right now, is I am going to be donating it for charity. You know what? I have no intro music. I don't know why I have my headphones in. I was listening a little bit to the intro music to make sure it was at an acceptable volume, but that is no more. It's time to get into topics. Unless somebody wants to throw something out there, I mean, the live chat's open for you. So head on in there and see if you can add something to the conversation here. A couple big things happened this week, and we're going to be talking a lot about this with my co-host on Monday. A couple of really, really big things we have to talk about. Number one is Amy Coney Barrett went through the Senate Judiciary Committee, and it was not what you would expect by any stretch of the imagination. I sat back and I listened to this. I've got Theo Fruits 57 in the chat here. How we doing, Theo Fruits? Throw your questions in if you want to get them in. You are always welcome to do so. Amy Coney Barrett sat through her Senate. The word judiciary always trips me up. It always has. I had a little bit of a lisp when I was younger, so that's part of the problem with it. And having a retainer for 7 years didn't help either. But Fruits is drunk. I'll be doing that a little bit later, so mazel tov to you. I'm doing coffee right now, but I will be doing a little bit of the drinking a little bit later. Well, this is your time, so I live in France and I have 15 years old. When in Rome. I think you are the first person who's ever chatted in my live chat from France, so welcome. Absolutely. Anyway, back to where I was going with this. Amy Coney Barrett went through the Senate Judiciary Committee this week, and it was not what you would expect. Now, there were a lot of things that came along with the ACB hearings, and I'm going to continue to call her ACB. The left wing, get fucked. Because it's just initials. You painted RBG, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, as this saint, as this martyr, as this deity almost. And now that somebody else is coming in and sitting in her place and taking initials on top of this, you don't get to dictate how we talk to people. And Amy Coney Barrett is a long name to say. It's also a long name to write. And my coffee made me burp, so I apologize to that on the microphone. But that is a long name to say. So absolutely, I'm going to be calling her ACB. She went through the Senate Judiciary Committee. You're welcome, Fruits, by the way. She went through the Judiciary Committee, and one of the things that confused me about the Judiciary Committee this week was I wasn't sure who was actually being interviewed in the hearing. I don't know who it was that they were actually trying to interview throughout all of this, because, I mean, most of the statements that came out had nothing to do with ACB. A lot of the statements, I mean, if you sat back and listened to this, you would think, first off, you would think that RBG was the one that they were interviewing for the hearing, because that seemed to be the biggest name that they talked about throughout all of this. Well, this is what Ruth Bader Ginsburg would have done, and she would have done this, and she would have answered these questions. You got a lot of that shit throughout all of these things. But, I mean, for the most part, that's what it was. It was just Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Ruth Bader Ginsburg. But the other person that I thought was being interviewed for the hearing coming up, or that went on this past week, was Donald Trump. Now, there's strategy in this. You can't look at this and not think strategy, because that was the first thing that I thought when I saw all of this. I sat and listened to the entirety, not the entirety, I take that back, because I would be lying to you if I had said that. I sat back and listened to 8 hours of the testimony on Tuesday rather, I'm sorry. I'm getting my days confused here because it just stretched and drug all week to the point that it was painful to listen to. So I sat and I listened to the whole thing. I got up, I listened to Sticks when I got to work, Sticks, X, and Hammer, and his 4 videos for the day. I listened to those for the day. I've got a pair of wireless headphones and an iPod that I just either put YouTube videos on or, excuse me, or podcast on. That's what I do when I'm at work because I work in a warehouse alone by myself and it gets really quiet back there. So I just listen to it like that. Instead of listening to the podcast I had on schedule, I got done listening to Styx's videos and I just went straight into the ACB hearings. And I thought for sure that they were interviewing Donald Trump for the Supreme Court because that was the other name that they talked about. Now, of course, it was trying to compare Barrett to Ginsburg when they were talking about Ginsburg, but that seemed to be the most that they talked about throughout the week is, well, this is what Donald Trump wants to do. This is Donald Trump's plan. Do you agree with Donald Trump's plan? What do you think about Donald Trump? What do you think about what Donald Trump wants to do? And that it was like that all day on Tuesday and for most of the day on Wednesday. They gloriously got done early on Wednesday. And I didn't have to sit and listen to Lindsey Graham and all of these wild conspiracy theorists over on the left sitting out in the Senate. And it's funny that, if you look at some of the stuff that happened in the hearings, and if you listen to it, if you watched it, I didn't watch it. I saw a couple parts of it because the YouTube video was playing on my iPod, but because I was focusing more on work and the iPod just being in my pocket or plugged in, whichever it happened to be, I didn't actually get to see any of the action. But to listen to some of the things that they were saying, you would think, if anybody on the right would have said anything similar about something that was happening with a left-wing politician, all of Twitter and all of Facebook would be alight with left-wingers screaming, "It's just a right-wing conspiracy theory. That's all that it is." And nobody proved that more than Sheldon Whitehouse. Come on. This guy, my God, this guy. Sheldon Whitehouse is a senator from, I believe, Rhode Island is where he's from. Somebody correct me on that if I'm wrong, but I believe he is from Rhode Island. He went in there, and he got up, and he started talking. He never asked a question throughout his entire spiel on Tuesday. I actually tweeted out there, is there a question, Senator? Is there something that you're going to ask? Is there something that you want to talk about with this? Is there something you want to ask the nominee? Because all you're doing is sitting here and spewing a conspiracy theory about dark money, and it was a conspiracy theory. Oh my God. Once again, I didn't watch this. I didn't see what he did. As far as I know, he was just sitting up at the bench talking to ACB, telling her about this amazing conspiracy theory that he had up here, but with all the details that he had, and he was pointing out names, companies, amounts, relationships between companies, people who've been donated to by these companies, people who've accepted the donations from the companies that are related to the companies. I have to believe, and somebody who's closer to DC, I know Steven's walking around after the Women's March right now, and he's not able to get into here, but like Stephen Ignoramus or somebody else down there in DC, somebody just get onto Capitol Hill if you can. I don't know what the security situation is in there. I have to imagine they have tours, but I don't know what the security situation is for Capitol Hill. But get onto Capitol Hill, get into the Capitol building, find Senator Whitehouse's office, and just see if there are 25 bulletin boards scattered around the office with 1,000 pushpins in them, maps and documents with miles of red string connecting everything. Because if you listen to the speech that he gave, that's what you would think would have happened. Was that he would have had miles and miles of red string. I mentioned this over on Contemporary, and I'm kicking myself right now on Wednesday for the fact that I didn't bring up the picture for this because I should have. Becca Lewis's Data and Society report that interconnected all the evil right-wing YouTubers. Do you guys remember that at all? The Data and Society report would be the perfect thing to compare what Sheldon Whitehouse was doing. Was Okay, this person's interviewed this person. This person's interviewed this person. This person has interviewed this person, and this person's a Nazi because he interviewed with Blonde in the Belly of the Beast, who worships Richard Spencer. And this person's a Nazi because he actually interviewed Richard Spencer. And this person debated Richard Spencer. Like I said, I don't know if you've ever seen the Dead End Society report. It is disturbing, to say the least, but that was kind of a similar vein. And I have to point out once again, Blonde in the Belly of the Beast was on the Dead End Society report. But Matt Christensen did not find his way onto that. Once again, skirting his hit piece that he so covets. I got a hit piece before Matt Christensen, which I still think is amazing, by the way, that I got a hit piece before that dude did. Have I showed you guys my hit piece? I don't know if I can do that from this. I had to switch software for the Ed Talk because my good webcam is having problems with the other OBS. Do I have a desktop capture that I can use? No, I don't think I do. Damn, no I don't. Hey Ron, how we doing? How's your Saturday? We're just talking about Amy Coney Barrett and Sheldon Whitehouse's vast conspiracy theories over here and all the miles of red string that he has to have had over his office while he was having this conversation. Thanks for the AOC sticker, by the way. She did not get to get into the fireworks. Oh, I've been watching for about 10 minutes without a chat window. Oh, okay. Is DLive having a problem? Is that what's going on? Ah, okay. You had to reload it. But yeah, the Sheldon Whitehouse thing it was crazy. And like I said, 10 minutes into it, I had to go over to my computer and tweet out, is there a question, Senator? Are you going to ask the nominee something? Or are you just going to go back on and start screaming about, well, there is dark money in politics somewhere, and this person donated to this person who wants to see Roe versus Wade overturned, who donated to this person who wants to see the ACA overturned, and therefore these people are donating dark money into politicians because the ultimate goal is to overturn Roe versus Wade and the Affordable Care Act, and this is where the money is coming from. 20 fucking minutes of that. It makes you just want to blow your fucking brains out to listen to that. But I did it for you guys. And then Ted Cruz got up in, well, let's just call it Ted Cruz fashion and turned around and said, well, you know what, we do got some dark money up over on the Republican side, but I mean, all these major corporations have donated to Democrats this cycle, so, there's something you got to think about with that and where the dark money's coming from. In true Ted Cruz fashion. I like Ted Cruz. I don't want him to be president. I never wanted him to be president, but I like Ted Cruz. He's a cool dude. Runs, I've been watching for 10 minutes without a chat window, had to reload. Spartan says, people who do not have the stomach to examine evidence of brutal violence should not be allowed to vote. Is there something you want to talk about, Spartan? Did something happen to you? Show me on Ron where Theo touched you. I've got a feeling that there's something going on in there. Yeah, the fucking Hunter tapes too. I didn't even talk about. Well, I talked a little bit about that this week, but those Hunter tapes too. I mean, that was just a ridiculous thing that the left right now is trying to make into a non-story as fast as they fucking can. I actually saw the Snopes article when all of that happened. The Snopes article came out and says, "Oh no, Hunter Biden didn't have a crack pipe in his mouth. That was an inhaler." Or it was some sort of glass piece. Let me see if I can find that Snopes article quick. Because I actually want to tell you guys what it said. Snopes, Hunter Biden. Yeah, this is just completely informal at this point. Crack pipe. Let's add it to the Google search. Oh, they must have taken that one down. How did Hunter Biden's laptop allegedly go from a repair shop in Delaware to the New York Post? By a Rudy Giuliani. We know that. They're not going to show it now. Yeah, no, they had a Snopes article out there that said, "Oh no, it wasn't a crack pipe. It was an inhaler. Don't worry about Hunter Biden. Just let's make sure we vote and get the evil orange man out. Because it's Snopes, and that's what they do. Let's catch back up with the live chat here, see what we've got. The media has already circled the wagons and are doing all they can to discredit the story. Did you see that they're already accusing Rudy Giuliani of being a Russian asset? Oh, fuck yeah, they are. Fuck yeah, they are. And they're going to continue to do that, too. And that's going to be the story coming in for the next part of it. This is Emails 2.0. I hope you guys are ready for this, especially if the Donald happens to win somehow, which, guys, I have given up predicting what's going to happen for this election because I can't right now. We've got October surprise after October surprise coming from the left and the right now. I have no idea what people are going to do come up for this. I don't know what tricks the left has up their sleeve. I don't know what cheating they have. I think Trump is going to win. I think. But I can't even try and get some wood on the ball for this one. I can't. There is no way. I can't see anybody else either trying to predict this and get it accurate at this point. They just keep doing more and more. Trump wins, there will be chaos in the streets. Burn, loot, murder will restart their chaos. Yeah. But I have a feeling after the election, the Insurrection Act might come out this time too, so... Spartan says, Ron, should we repeal the 19th? I don't think we should repeal the 19th. I'm 90% on Trump winning. I mean, cars don't vote. I don't know where you're going with that, unfortunately. I'm sorry. But yeah, just this whole thing. And the first part of that, too, when this first came out, this came out like 25 minutes before I started doing research for Contemporary. That was Wednesday morning. This came out like 25 minutes before that. And I think I was one of the first live streamers to talk about that. The Daily Wire already had articles out about it. I think I was one of the first live streamers to talk about that one. Because it was 25 minutes before everything else came out. But I read about that, and then I got to work, and in between tasks, I went over and looked at Twitter, and I see somebody going, well, the New York Post has got the same credibility as the National Enquirer. The video of talking to an almost empty car lot. Oh, okay. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, okay. Let's back up on this just a little bit here, because that has been the campaign stop of choice for Biden, is drive-in town halls. You drive your car up to the town hall, you walk up to the microphone, you ask your question, and you go back and get in your car. Does anybody other than me see a problem with that? Does anybody other than me see a problem with a bunch of people sitting in their cars listening to Joe Biden talk? Where they've got plenty of space, and I'm sure the FBI went through and the Secret Service went through and checked all these cars. But that's got to be a tiresome process. That had to be a cumbersome process in and of itself. But it's hard enough to get into one of these rallies. I mean, I went down to try and check out the Trump rally in Janesville earlier today. You could not get within 7 miles of the Janesville airport today, by the way. I tried that. But, I mean, when it comes to the point where you can't drive by an airport that's 3 miles off the road for 7 miles away from the airport, which I think that the reason they blocked that was that was the only place that was readily accessible for people to turn around. I think it's the reason that they blocked it off there, because they stopped traffic at Highway 11. So instead of continuing down 51, you had to turn left or right on Highway 11. I think that's the reason they blocked it off. But still, you couldn't drive within 10 miles of where the president was going to be landing. 2 hours before he landed, by the way. But yes, that's where I'm going back when I talk about the drive-in town hall. Now, it's hard enough to get into one of these events without getting searched and strip-searched for a gun, for a rifle, for a bomb, for anything else off of there. I'm sure that they're searching everybody who's coming into these places. Plus all the COVID regulation that comes along with it, because you got to get your fucking temperature checked. So they go through and they do all this stuff. Now you've got people in a car. you're seeing the problem here. Now, of course, Biden is doing these drive-in things in gun-free places like New York City where it takes an act of God for you to get a firearm, or for you to just get it illegally, whichever way you want to do it, but where it takes an act of God for you to firearm in, and yet there are still murders and shootings on the streets every day, but still, I would not want to stand up as a presidential candidate, especially one that's as contested as either one of these candidates right now, with people sitting in their cars to listen to me. That just sounds right for a sniper attack that nobody's gonna fucking see coming. What the shit? Whose idea was that? Whose goddamn idea was that? That is just asking for a crisis coming up to an election. Yeah, Ron says you can get a firearm if you know the right palms to grease. Exactly. And then having all that automotive space for you to be able to hide it in. Because seriously, even if it is a Biden event and there's only 10 people there, how long is Secret Service going to sit and individually tear through each car? All right. Let's see what we've got going on here. The video of Biden talking to an almost empty car lot was the last one I read here. Ron says there are some really smart women. The problem I have had with women bosses is that I felt that is that they felt the need to bust my balls. Oh, yeah, no, that's... I mean, you get some points of that, too. You get the women out there that feel like they need to be one of the boys and do this things the same way that the men do. Even though that men and women are different. In very, very different... very, very, very big ways men and women are different. But sometimes it helps to have a woman's touch if you're doing a certain job and having her be the boss. But for the most part, especially, and that was the thing too with ACB going up and being confirmed. We'll circle back to that just now here. With her going up to the confirmation, I know I listened to the Beauty and the Beta call-in show while I was at work this morning, and listening to Blonde, who is full on repeal the 19th, bitching about the fact that Amy Coney Barrett is about to get confirmed to the Supreme Court. With her, as I mentioned, very, very distinct views on repealing the 19th. And to that I say, women, just like men, have the opportunity in this country to pursue whatever it is that they want to pursue. They don't have to succeed at it. But I would rather see qualifications pass or fail somebody to get into something like that than what's in their pants. I've always said to, and I mean, this goes back to the gay thing. People are like, well, you hate gay people. You hate gay people if you voted for Trump. Really? Because I don't think I care. Especially with the gay thing. I'm not going to be involved in something like that. Who you fuck and how you pee are none of my concern. How you work, what your qualifications are, and what for public office, what your platform is. Those are the things that concern me. But I know there's also concern right now with Kamala Harris being the vice presidential nominee, and the fact that she will become the president if for some reason Biden managed to squeak his fucking way through this. That she is, like I just mentioned when I talked about female bosses, is going to try and be one of the boys. And one of the things that the boys do is go out and bust skulls and start wars. I gotta prove that I'm just like one of the boys here, that I'm just like everybody else. So, hang on, Iran. I'm gonna drop a bomb into the middle of Saudi Arabia. Because I can do it just like the boys can. And that has been a concern with the candidates that they're putting up. I am not opposed to a woman president. I am opposed to the women that have been offered up for the presidency. Hildog, Kamala. Both are two people who are incredibly authoritarian and who, like I said, have been involved in government to a point where they do have to believe that, or make people believe that they're one of the big boys. I mean, look at Kamala Harris's prosecutorial record. You don't think that she's going to come in and try and take that tough on crime attitude with the world if she's got the nuclear code? Are you fucking kidding me? That woman scares me. I will have any woman be president except for Hillary or Kamala. Put them up there. Let's see what their qualifications are. And let's see if they have that itchy trigger finger like I know both of those two women would. All right, let's see. Let's get back into the chat here because this is your time and I'm taking up your time right now, you guys. Slap me a little bit. Actually, I can't see the slaps right now. Let's see. Ron says, I've never had a positive experience of having a woman in charge of anything. I've had good women bosses before. It was all right. One of my favorite people to work for, well, it probably doesn't hurt that I found out after I started working there, was a longtime friend of my family's and knew my dad. From 300 miles away, she knew my dad. Well, my dad grew up in the town that I was living at the time, so that's a part of it. But yeah, from 300 miles away, she knew my dad. But still, I mean, I had a positive experience with it. Let's see. Spartan says, I think female maternal instincts are bad for running a country. That's not the worst thing in the world to me. The worst thing in the world to me is the power-hungry ones that have made it at the top that have had this feeling that they have to be one of the boys. And honestly, the fact that Kamala slept her way to the top is disqualifying in that realm to me because it is taking the whole Gen X and millennial idea that women have to be just as promiscuous as men in order to get where they want to be. Kind of translates into the fact that I think she's going to get up there and try to be one of the boys. Kamala scares the fucking crap out of me, given the fact that I know that she's this close to the presidency right now. That is not a world I'm ready to live in. All right. Spartan says they had their radio. They had to be in their car so they could listen to Trump talk on the radio. Well, it was upstate, or no, it wasn't upstate. It was New York City, so I don't think that was possible at this situation, but it's still funny. I like that. Ron Helton says probably right. They feel they have to prove they're just as tough as men and proceed to make the unnecessary aggressive moves. That is because the range of Stinger missiles, there are several loose ones floating around. Well, that's not something I really want to think about. Ron, we read that one already. Says you can get a firearm if you know the right palms to grease. Spartan says, I was working IT installing server racks at the mayor's mansion of New York City. They searched me, but not the car, which was full of all kinds of tools. Yeah, but I don't think they like de Blasio anymore either. That was probably pre-de Blasio, though. I don't know what... He didn't give me a timestamp on that, so I don't know when that was, but I'm guessing that was pre-de Blasio. Ron says, just shows how incompetent the government is. They cannot protect anybody. Spartan says, this was cops searching me in a metal detector, not security guards. They just let the car drive in. They did not even peek inside. That's interesting. Spartan says, I could have had a bunch of rifles in the back. Alex Beersack says, Amy Coney Barrett is hot. Fact check true. I'm not going to lie. Fact check true. If I was their sergeant, I would chew them out. Alex Beersack, hi. Spartan says, Amy is low IQ. Alex Beersack says, are you conservative? No. The closest that I have on a political leaning is federalism. I have my issues with the Libertarian Party with the fact that they continue to go straight for the top. And I know that I've been informed of the fact that they do run in lower races too. We do need to do some more support to get more libertarian candidates into lower races and stop focusing on the ones that are trying and failing left and right to get into the presidency. We do need to take this from the ground up, from the school board seat all the way up to Congress. Start there, and then we can start focusing on the presidency. But as far as my political beliefs, I am a federalist. I am a big believer in letting the states come out and have their own government and have the federal government neutered back to the point that they are just doing interstate commerce and foreign diplomacy. We need to get back to that and then start fixing the country the rest of the way. And I mean, it's possible that we balkanize over that. But as long as we have the interstate commerce clause, balkanization, I think, would be okay, and people would go to the places that have the amount of government that they want, the way that America was supposed to be. And you would see California fall on their ass, by the way, under their current structure of government, if you tried this. Because California will come out and say, oh, no, we're holding up the rest of these countries. They're taking all their donations from us. We're supporting the red states. Meanwhile, California has $1 trillion in state debt to the federal government. And if you took this whole redistributionist scheme of federal aid to states out of the equation, you're going to see who's going to rise and who's going to fall really fucking quick. Really fucking quick. Spart says, Ed has a Ford shirt on. I do. Don't give me any of that Henry Ford stuff. I like Ford trucks. I like GM cars. Well, I used to. I don't much anymore because of the government takeover. But I do like Ford trucks. And I kind of want to get myself a little Hot Rod Lincoln, too. Nothing to do with what Henry Ford believed. I know they tried to pull that shit when President Trump went to Dearborn. Do you think those union workers at the Ford plant have any bearing in what it is that Henry Ford believed back in the 20s? Are you out of your fucking mind? Oh, I gotta catch up with the live chat here. You guys are going. Nephilim says, is Hill Dog her gangsta code name? No, it's just a way for me to make fun of her. How you doing, Nephilim? Welcome on in. Ron says, Ed's a Federalist. We're trying to convert him to the Liberty side. P.S. Lincoln was a tyrannical piece of shit. Fact check, true. Let's see. Spartan says, I'm a green authoritarian under geniocracy plus cybernetic monarchy. That is a lot of words. And I know the meaning of every one of those words, but together in a sentence like that, I'm a little bit confused, and I have questions. All right, let's see. It was pre de Blasio, okay. Ron Helton says, I watched a Twilight Zone episode once, and a scientist went back in time and tried to stop Lincoln's assassination. I mean, I would. But news didn't travel as fast either. If Lincoln was assassinated today, the country would be in chaos and the Civil War wouldn't be over. If you make everything exactly the same as it was, but add social media and the internet, that whole thing would have turned out a lot differently. Let's see. Ron says the goal should be to go back in time and kill him before he started the Civil War. Defensively, Susan, disavow. The South had the right to secede from the Union, just as the colonies had the right to leave England. The colonies didn't really have the right to leave England. That's a little bit of revisionist history there, Ron. That wasn't really the colonies having the right to leave England. That was more the colonies coming up and saying, "We're doing it anyway. Fuck you." It was more of that than having the right to leave England. I hate to tell you. The actor that played on that episode, Russell, played the professor on Gilligan's Island, which will give you an idea how old that is. It's definitely not the new one. I haven't seen the new one. I heard it's woke as fucking bullshit. The new Twilight Zone that they're playing on Netflix, I heard it is absolute woke crap. And I haven't watched it. I don't know if I've ever watched a full episode of the original either. I'm trying to think back. I don't think I have. It wasn't really something that my old man enjoyed, so we didn't really watch a lot of stuff that my old man didn't like in the house I grew up in. So I missed out on a lot of things. I didn't learn about Trek until I was in college. That's not true. Because I was watching the last 3 seasons of Voyager when it was new, when I was still in high school. But other than that, I did not touch another Trek series. Let me rephrase that, because we can go back even further than this. I watched Voyager when it was new, and I watched it a couple more times when I was in college when they were running syndication over. It was on late night. It was on like midnight on the UPN affiliate that we had in Kenosha at the time, and it was running at yeah. They ran it at like two episodes at like midnight and 1 a.m. at the time, and I watched it then. And then I didn't touch Trek again. Let's see. I watched the movies, the Abrams verse movies, and they fucking blew. But I watched the first. I've seen all three of the Abrams verse movies, and they all fucking blew. Other than that, I did not go back into Trek until like 2 years ago, and I watched all the Voyager episodes. Then I went to Deep Space Nine. No, I did Voyager, Enterprise, Deep Space Nine, TNG. I have still never seen the TOS. And then I went back and I did Voyager again, and now I'm doing Deep Space Nine again. Just it's background noise when I'm doing work on my computer, when I'm doing stuff for like the Red Ned Show or stuff. When I'm doing editing, when I'm doing the itinerary every week for the Red Ned Show. When I'm doing that kind of stuff. When I'm doing audio platform that I never do. When I'm doing all that stuff, I'll put Deep Space Nine on as background noise. Let's see. Only people with extreme intelligence and great morals should be allowed to rule. You can test intelligence. Testing morals are a lot harder. Ron says, see, we still have a lot of work to do with Ed. He appeals to authority. Free men have the right to govern themselves. Free men have the right to decide how much government that they want. Because let's walk that back just a little bit here. I don't think we're going to get to anything else off of this, but that's fine. Let's walk that back just a little bit off of this. Now, I and Ron and Britt and John want to be free, want to govern ourselves. We want to get out onto a plot of land with a shotgun and tell the government to get the fuck off our lawns. But people in Los Angeles, that type of work, that type of governance, if you can call it that, governance. But that type of societal structure does not work for people in Los Angeles. It doesn't work for people in New York City. You know how we know that? Because they go to places like Los Angeles and New York City. So, if you can get government down to as local of a level as possible so the people who want the government can go to these places like Los Angeles and New York City, they can choose however much corrupt government that they want over the top of them. Because a lot of these people don't want to be free. They want to be slaves to the system. They're like the blue pills in the Matrix. I cannot believe how much of an allegory that movie became. I cannot believe that. The Wachowski sisters keep saying that this was supposed to be an allegory for coming out as transsexual. And yet here it is. Now it came out to be that it's become the allegory for the way that the government and our current society works. A few people deciding that they want to be free and everybody else wanting to be a slave to the system or not ready to be unplugged from the system. But yes, there are people out there where this liberty-minded government that people like Ron Helton advocate for, which is a great system of government, it's just not going to work for them. They want to pay in a bunch of money to have somebody keep them safe. And goddamn it, they should have the right to do that. They just shouldn't have the right to make me do that. That's why I'm into federalism. Because they have the right to be as governed as they want to be. They just don't have the right to enforce it on me. That's the way I feel about federalism. That's why I don't go straight into liberty and anarchy. Because I know it doesn't work for everybody. And that's the way that this country was supposed to be set up to begin with. People will decide how much government that they want, and the only thing that the federal government was supposed to sit there for was to make sure that the states played nice with each other. And then came a man from Illinois with a top hat and a beard. Thanks, Abe. All right, let's get back into the live chat here. Spartan says people should be left alone as much as possible, but when they break the laws, government should come down hard. And that's been one thing, a point of contention that I've had against the libertarian movement as well. Especially the left libertarians. Those guys are fucking nuts. The people that are deep down into the southwest corner of the political compass map, those guys are fucking nuts. I have been, and this is probably what sets me apart from almost every libertarian, I'm in favor of the police being a government entity because the government that makes the laws should be responsible for enforcing them. And if they can enforce the laws, then they have no business making them. Now, we need to repeal a lot of the laws that are on the books, especially at the federal level, and a lot of these victimless crimes laws. Those all need to go away because there's really no reason for it. Except, of course, like I said, if you wanted to, everybody who wanted to have these sort of victimless crimes laws in place can just gather in Sacramento and leave the rest of us alone. That would be cool. I would enjoy that. But if they're going to make the laws, then they do need to pony up the dough to enforce them. Or don't make the law. One or the other. So yeah, with you, I'm on your side on that one, Spartan. But we also need to be encouraging them not to make laws. Has anybody in the live chat, and I've got to catch up with you, I know that we're falling behind again off of this, so I'm not going to read this answer until a few minutes later off of this. If anybody in the live chat has ever played a PS1 game called The Legend of Dragoon, probably one of my favorite JRPGs ever, by the way. If you have not played it, I highly recommend it. I'm going to see if I can get a capture card and a clean copy of the game because it's a 4-disc game on the PS1 and my disc 2 is scratched beyond readability. But I'm going to see if I can get a fresh, clean copy of the game and a capture card. And we're going to do that one on stream too because that is probably one of the best games that Sony put out in that era. So look forward to that as we go along here. We're doing Super Mario RPG right now, which is amazing, by the way. I felt so happy playing that game. It was so much fun. But if you'll remember, towards the end of The Legend of Dragoon, they went to certain cities to go find certain, I believe it was sigils for the moon child, the child of the moon that never sets. They were finding certain sigils to keep the moon that never sets from coming down to Earth, apparently. I'm probably butchering the story here. It's been a few years since I played the game. But that was what the quest was, and they went to the lost city of Xenebados. And in Xenebados, they're not making laws because they protect the people. The city of Xenebados cranks out laws like they're commodities at a factory, and I do feel like, to a point, that's what the government is becoming at this point, especially on the federal level. But some of the state levels are doing the same thing too. They're not making laws to protect the people. They're making laws to justify their $174,000 pay checks every year and pumping them out like a commodity just to say, hey, look at all the laws that we made. That was one of the rebuttals that Anavoltis did when I did my solo video on whether or not Congress could work flat rate. Now, my argument to that was the fact that they don't do anything but investigate each other currently. So if we gave them an incentive, like, you're not getting a fucking paycheck unless you make a law, then they might crack down and skip the fucking investigations and start making. My thought of it was to try and save the American taxpayer money, but Anavoltis did point out the fact, and he is absolutely correct on that same idea, is the fact that they could be like Xenebados and just continue to start cranking out laws like a factory. So, and I feel like the government's even doing that now, just for the fact that, just to say that they can. I mean, if you look at some of the ridiculous laws around here, you're not allowed to have, people in Ohio are not allowed to shoot off a gun while having an orgasm. Actually, it's a city ordinance in the city of Zion, Illinois. Is it Zion? Yeah, Zion, Illinois, which is a small suburb of Kenosha where I didn't live in Zion, I lived in Kenosha, but a small suburb of Kenosha down in Illinois has an ordinance on the books that if a man catches a woman picking her nose at a red light, he can legally force her to marry him. That's actually on the books. Alright, I gotta catch up with this, guys, and see what you guys had to think about The Legend of Dragoon. Alright, Ron Helton says, if there's a victim, no crime, too much government meddling. Yeah, I can see that. The government abuses its position daily at the local, state, and federal level. I can agree with that. That is about details, Ron. What about people playing really loud, playing loud, really bad music at the beach? You don't have to be in the same place on the beach as they are. You can pick up your stuff and go to another place. There's a lot of coastline in this country. Come inland. Go to the Great Lakes beaches. The people from the coast are snobs and they're not going to go to those beaches. Go to those beaches. You'll like them better, I promise. Freedom without responsibility and discipline is chaos. Or when I just want silence and to enjoy the sounds of the waves. Freedom without responsibility and discipline is chaos. That is true. But you do have a responsibility to yourself to create your own freedom and your own discipline. And if you go into freedom without discipline, you're not going to last very long out there. I'm sorry. If you're free and have no discipline, the world is going to eat you alive. And that's part of the reason that people in California desire so much government, because a lot of the people that are going, and that's one of the things, and I don't mean to bag on people from California, because I know a lot of really awesome people that live in California, and some of them that are from there. Britt, as a lifelong Los Angeles area resident, as far as I know, I'm not going to tell you where in the city she's lived. I know where in the city she's lived, but I'm not going to tell you any of that. I mean, Los Angeles might as well be its own state at this point, so I'm a little bit comfortable saying Los Angeles area, but I mean, she grew up in those ideals, but I do also say that there are a lot of people from Wyoming, Missouri, or Nebraska, or places like that are going down to Hollywood because I'm going to become an actor. That's what I want to do. I want to become an actor, in spite of the fact that a large majority of the people who are actors now in Los Angeles were born there. But it's these people that want to go out there, they want to be free without any discipline, and the world just eats them alive. So yes, freedom without responsibility and discipline is chaos, but you are responsible for making your own discipline or paying money into a large overbloated government to provide it for you. Spartan says you want a plot of land in the world in which the population keeps increasing. This is the second time I've brought this argument up, so I'm actually going to look this up and see if I can figure out if this is true or not, because I don't know if this is true. It has been rumored, and I cannot verify this. Matt Walsh pointed this out on his show I was listening to. I was still working in Madison at the time. So that's been over a year ago at this point. But Matt Walsh pointed out on his show that if you took the entire world's population, you can allegedly, I've not verified this, but you can fit the entire world's population into the state of Texas, and not just fit them into Texas. You can fit the entire world's population into Texas, and everybody gets a 1 acre lot, or a quarter acre lot, like a regular suburban sized quarter acre lot. You can fit everybody in the world into Texas. I cannot verify that. I've never verified this, if this is true or not. But I'm going to go and look it up at some point and try and verify this, because that'll give you an idea of what the population of this world looks like. Let's see. Ron says, no, I said I'm for limited immigration. The attraction of the U.S. is opportunity and room to breathe. I don't want to be a country with over 1 billion people stacked on top of each other, like New York. Spartan says, absolute authority is the best system, but only if the correct person holds the authority. I will balk at that, because I don't want anybody in authority over me. I don't even like the people that are in authority over me now. And they suck. Kind of like the search of the religious Messiah. Well, that's a completely different argument at this point. Ron says, I've never heard of the game, but I'm more of a strategy player when I play games now. Civilization games. Used to play Duke Nukem, Rise of the Triad, etc. Yeah, I'm probably going to stream that at some point. I'll figure out how to get a capture card and get it up there. But definitely want to play that game again. Love that game. The graphics are PS1 era graphics. It is what it is. But it is an amazing story. And you see weird stuff like that from the mind of a JRPG writer. Their combat system is a little bit tricky too, but definitely something I want to play. Definitely something I want to play again. We're going to be playing a lot here. That's part of the reason too I'm trying to get through. I was so excited to get through Fallout New Vegas. Because there's so much else out there. And even some of the classic stuff. Get a capture card and play a PS2 game, play a PS1 game, play a GameCube game. We could play Mega Man X Command Mission. I love that game. But yeah, the Lost City of Xanabados and Legend of Dragoon. Just, I see that in the government today. Alright, let's see if we can get caught up here, and then we're probably going to start wrapping this up here. Thanks, guys, for hanging out and making the conversation. In a monarchy, you educate a child from childhood for leadership. The problem I see is that this person does not know suffering or poverty, which makes it harder to understand moral leadership. That's true, and I mean, we're seeing some of that now, too. We're looking at people from Congress. This is a gripe that I've had with people in Congress for a long time, is that a lot of these people are groomed from sometimes birth to be in Congress. As much as I carry against Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, I will at least respect the fact that she went out and did the hard knock life after college and bartended in the Bronx. Now, don't try and give me this she was from the Bronx. She is from an upscale. She's from an upscale neighborhood in Westchester. I think it's Westchester. I think it's one over from Westchester, I believe. But she's from an upscale suburban neighborhood, and she went to Boston College on her parents' time. Any suffering that she went with, she brought on by herself. Plus, she's an idiot. But I will give her you go from bartending to Congress. And that takes some chutzpah. It definitely does. All right. Ron says, I've always started every job I've ever had from the bottom and promoted to positions of authority. That includes the military. Good job. Absolutely. Spartan says, that is not true. I go to the beach and pretty much every spot has someone playing garbage music, or I set up a quiet spot and a person comes up and sets up music next to me after I set up, and I have a limited amount of beach days. Come inland, man. So I do not agree them playing loud music is a direct attack on me trying to enjoy the beach. Come inland, man. The Great Lakes have great beaches. Yes, you do have a limited number of beach days, but the Great Lakes have awesome beaches. I'm probably going to get married on a Great Lakes beach. Or my dad's place. I'm not sure. There's a nice balcony up at my dad's place. That'd make a great altar. Anyway, that's completely off topic. That's for something else entirely. Let's see. Ron says, I've never had that problem at beaches. Coronado Beach, Padre Island, Cocoa Beach, Walton Beach, Mexico Beach. Guess I was lucky. Spartan says, I'm talking about the beach that is close to me and the only free beach in my area. Let's see. I've heard something similar to that. I don't even remember what it was that I was saying 7 minutes ago. Spartan says we should do it. Everyone go to Texas and I get the rest of the world. Love it. Absolutely love it. All right. Ron's going to go put his hens up. He needs to collect some eggs before they go back to bed. Be right back. But I think we're at that point where we're going to be calling it for the day here. So I want to thank everybody who came by and talked with us. There was a little bit of a light turnout here, but we'll grow. We'll get some more off of this. I think playing Super Mario RPG is going to get some more people in. I hope so anyway. So I think that's going to be a lot of fun. Let's see. Let's start from the top and start to thank some people for coming in here and hanging out with us. If you guys want to get your name read and thanked in the live chat, make sure you get your messages and your D-Live stickers in now. And hey, if you're over on Twitch, throw up the emotes too. I like seeing those too. Some of my friends have some really, really cool emotes. I know Harvey McLeod has some Hank Hill ones. But get the emotes in there. I want to see them. I want to see your artwork. Make your artwork and your stickers. And I don't know what you have over on YouTube, but throw it up there too. We have Theo Fruits 15 over in France. Thanks for coming and hanging out with us from over on that side of the world. Ron Helton, thanks. Spartan 0000 Superior 1. Thanks for coming and hanging out. And we got some other names in here towards the end. Alex Biersack 1. Thanks for coming and hanging out with us. That's a new name in here. Hope you stick around and hope you hang out with some of the other shows. Let's see. Nephilim Ninja of Nibiru. Good old Neph. He's always got a good take on something here. Thanks for hanging out. And I think that was it. So just a few people here. Yeah. Oh, that's a new sticker. I like that. Oh, thanks, Spartan. I like that one. All right, that's going to be it here. We are going to be back here on Monday for more contemporary. There's a little bit of news happening. The SDNY is officially going after Rudy Giuliani and calling him a Russian stooge. So I'm sure we'll be talking about a bit about that. I'm sure there's going to be some other stuff that's coming up over the weekend here. And the Daily Wire and Fox and The Blaze and all the other wonderful places that I use as outlets will tell me all about it there, and then I'll turn around and tell it all back to you on Monday morning. Or come back and join us once again for the Red and Ed Show Monday night, where we will recap the Dueling Town Halls, the ACB hearings, and a myriad of other stuff. I mean, there were really 2 news stories throughout this week, but there was some other stuff in here. I know that they charged that dude from the Colorado shooting as well, so we'll be talking about that. Other than that, let's get some outro music up here so you guys have something to listen to while we're heading out of here. No, I want to open it. I don't want to change the title. Professionalism. That's what we do around here, is professional outlets. Absolutely every time. It's thinking, it's thinking, it's thinking. All right. And it's up. So, come back and join us here on Monday for both of the programs, or every other day throughout the week for more contemporary, or lastly, come back and hang out on Thursday night for more Ed's World Gaming, going deeper into Super Mario RPG, The Legend of the Seven Stars. I'm so glad I decided to come back and play that game again. That is so much fun. And I was so happy when I was done. I slept really well too. So we go from dark, end of the world type stuff to a cartoony JRPG featuring our familiar Mario characters. So definitely a blast. Definitely look forward to seeing that. That's at 8 to midnight on Thursday night. So you got plenty of opportunities to come and hang out with us, and we will see you then. Until then, I'm Jay Edgar, and thank you for coming to my Ed Talk. Take care.